Yes. So, welcome to this TED Talk, The Future of Work, New Demand and Working Patterns, by Mr. Santiago Insura. So allow me to introduce his short bio. Mr. Insura has joined Zurich in 2018 from MetLife, where he held the role of Head of HR, Human Resources for Europe. He has begun his career in 1998 in the consulting industry too. In 2000, moved to Valeo Automotive as a Human Resource Manager for a production plant, and 2 years later for the Iberian Aftermarket Division. In 2005, he joined MetLife Spain, formerly Alico AIG, as head of HR. After 2 years, in the role of after 2 years, he was asked to oversee Portugal and was appointed head of HR for both countries. In addition to his main role, Mr. Santiago took on the role of head of legal for both countries from 2008 to 2013. In November 2013, he was appointed HR head for Western Europe to later expand his role into Europe. Mr. Santiago holds a degree in law from the CEU University in Madrid and an MBA from Instituto de Empresa. More recently, he has completed a management program at INSEAD and an HR program at Cornell University. So thank you very much. Floor is yours, Mr. Santiago. Please take over. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Do you mind if I stand up? And what a long background you have read. I guess that means I'm old. And I'm going to address most of my speech to young. And so I'll ask you to see if you can, picture a young person and over the course of my speech, and or probably you can, remember your old times. I'm going to talk a little bit about the future of work, future of employment, and how our young people can adapt to it and make the most of it, okay? Of the great future that awaits them. That is going to be very different from the past. Talking about the future of work, and I'm not going to be, long on future of work, because you know this already. You know that this world that we are creating, and very quickly, by the way, is going to result in fewer jobs, and which doesn't sound really nice, no? And there's going to be a technology-based economy, and what we understand by jobs, and there are going to be far fewer jobs. You know what the number one job in the US is? This I didn't know, by the way, last week. I just Googled. You know what the number one job in the US is? Driver. And truck drivers mainly, but not only. And which is going to be gone. And I think this is something that everyone who looks into the future would agree on. So it's not something that I'm making up, right? I mean, when you think about translation, for instance, and nowadays most of the translation that is being done don't involve a human being, and this is going to get far worse. And when you think about, putting things in writing, secretaries, for instance. I mean, can you imagine the number of jobs in the world that are about writing things, putting things in writing, writing things down, etc.? Gone. It's just a matter of 10 more years. I'm not a fan of AI myself, okay? I'm not a technology expert, and actually I struggle a bit with artificial intelligence. I have Google at home, the OK Google thing, which is like Siri. And I don't know if it's my voice or what, but I'm not very impressed. It doesn't really work. I mean, it's not super reliable, and but it's going to get way better in 10 years' time, and translation and etc. So fewer jobs, but more technology. And so when I went into the internet this last weekend. I knew I had 40 minutes with you today. I thought, okay, let's go online and see what I can find here that I can, incorporate into my speech. And I found the research, and it was striking. It was not a surprise, but the research was done in the US, and they picked two profiles. Profile number one was a person college educated. It was like a doctor or a lawyer or a professor or a scientist, etc. No? And that was profile number one. Let's call this person Carlos. And the profile number two was no college. Was blue collar or white collar, low level, customer service rep or industry worker, etc. Okay? Let's call it Juan. And the research is interesting. Carlos and Juan, back in the 60s, so 60 years ago, they were living a pretty similar life. They both had full-time jobs and so on and so forth. And the earnings were pretty much similar. This was in the 60s. Now their life is totally different. Carlos is making more money. And Juan is struggling a lot. Unemployed, changing jobs. There were a lot of, I didn't go into the full research, but there was one thing. The likelihood of Juan going to jail is much higher now than it used to be in the 60s. So, all this to say, if I have to start working on my advice, okay, which is what I plan to do in this speech, probably if I look at the research in the US, the advice will be go to college, right, and get a degree. But that is not the advice that I want to give, because I don't think, this is very used. Everyone says that first. And second, I don't really think that you have to measure success through the accomplishment of goals. If you talk to a successful kid at school who wants to become an engineer, great. It's good to have an ambition. Now, if you talk to a kid who's struggling at school, who is considering the possibility of dropping, if you go to the kid and tell him or her, you have to become a scientist like your dad, that will never work. So I will not put my advice in the form of get a degree, okay? I would put the first advice in this term. It's a different way of formulating it. Stay in the education system as much as you can. It's not about getting the degree, because it's a fantastic space for that. And the picture is because I love cycling. And you may not see the relationship between the statement and the picture. And it's very simple. Normally, when you run marathons or you do cycling, and when you are facing a long race, there is a mental trick. You don't think about the finish line, because if you think about the finish line, you drop. If you are in pain and you think about climbing to the top, you drop. Now, when you are struggling in a race or in a long climb, normally when you're really struggling, what you tell to yourself is, okay, you will drop. Fine, but not here. You drop in the next turn. 1 more minute, keep on pedaling. This is something that when you do, long races, marathons or whatever, is something that you learn. So the first thing that I will try to convince a kid about is a young person or a teenager when they're struggling at school is stay a little bit longer. We will see. Stay a little bit longer. The longer, the better. Now, this advice, don't think that I'm super proud with this one, okay? I'm going to try to improve it, okay, with the passing of time during this speech. Why do I think that is not perfect? Because there is one thing that I love from the New World, which is we have never had so many successful people in the world, never with no education. Have you ever heard the speech from Steve Jobs at Stanford, which is in YouTube, and is priceless. The speech is really good, because he goes to Stanford in an audience like this, to the graduates, and in the speech he says that the best decision that he had made in his life is dropping from university in front of the graduates in Stanford. This is what he said, no? And they were all flipping out, like they were expecting a different message, obviously, no? Like you will be great because you have the title. No? Now, there are many examples, there have never been so many, of people with strong success and no degree. And this is because the technology world is run on ideas. It's not the class-biased environment we were coming from. I remember long ago I was told that, didn't have the time to check this online, but I was told that the vast majority of prime ministers in France and presidents of the Republic, they were coming from the same university. They extrapolated the report into the US, it was pretty similar. This is gone for good, which is great. So you don't need a degree to be successful. So I'm gonna try to improve now the advice. Stay in the education system as much as you can, and or develop the skills of the future. You can do both things, actually. Either one thing or the other, okay? Or both, if you are able to do both. Now, the skills of the future are those skills that will not be done by machines, which are, convincing, talking, interacting with others, influencing, thinking. And I know this is obvious, but think about the children now. Look at this first picture in the upper right corner, in the upper left corner for you. There is here a kid getting engaged in a family discussion. I do believe that this is fundamental. And they have to get engaged in family discussions, to practice, to exercise these skills little by little. And most children don't do. Plus, they have to make a good impression to their parents, to their friends, to their uncle, aunt, grandparents, to the parents of their friends. They have to make a good impression in them. I mean, every time they meet these people, it's an opportunity. When you think about the future, fewer jobs, remember, we will not have full-time jobs forever. What we are going to have, or they are going to have? And they are going to be freelancers. They are going to be contractors. They are going to get earnings from a variety of different things and jobs. Can you imagine the amount of contacts that you need? So over the course of 50 years, you're going to do, I don't know, countless number of different things, projects and jobs, the amount of contacts that you need for that. And believe me, this I know because I get a lot of curricula from recent graduates, let's call it that way, and from their parents, fathers, friends, etc. And you know when they are speaking highly of them, and you know when they are not. And you need to make a good impression. I could have got more help myself from one of my, whose name I will not disclose, family members, let's call it that way. And I do believe that, he didn't believe probably that I was prepared or I did not dedicate the time to, make a good impression on them. And so I think getting engaged in discussions is absolutely fundamental. I included this picture because this picture illustrates the importance of interacting with different people with whom you learn much more than with, but we have all the ability to surround ourselves from people like us who are telling exactly the same things that we do, etc. If I meet a person who is a cyclist and they have two girls and they love sports, etc., I tend to think they are great. Good people. And because they are like me. And but when you learn is when you interact with different people. By the way, if you have the opportunity to interact with a person with a disability, with a different ability, that is priceless. Because these people have such strong abilities, like resilience, tolerance to frustration, the capacity to resolve problems, that is super enriching. And it's an experience in life. And this, the machines will not do. And this is just experience. Obviously, if you go to university, normally universities are great spaces for this, okay? We like to say ecosystems now. A university, an education system, the education system in itself is good for this because you meet professors, you have classmates, and you can learn a lot from other people. But you don't need to go to university for this. And then you have this picture here, which is about friendship, and it's about making and keeping friends over the course of your life, which is tough sometimes because you don't find the time, and but it's a great investment. It's a needed investment, and children have to do that, and they have to learn to do that. I remember when I was applying for an MBA, there was I had to put a success in life. I don't remember the question. The question was about my, if I could outline a success or something, but I was very young. I didn't know what to write there. So I went to my mom and I asked her, and she told me, your success in life is that you have made lots of friends. To which I said, come on, mom, I'm not writing that. I made a lot of friends. And in a business school, I thought they were looking for something different. I don't know. The thing is, I don't know what I wrote because I don't remember that, but I've never realized how right my mom was until now. And, I've learned a lot from my friends, a lot. And they don't know. This is something that I've never disclosed with anyone, to what degree I've learned from them. I've learned from my friend Pablo, who is super articulate. He has always been super articulated, high, cultural level, etc. I've learned from my friend Jose Maria, who's a successful psychologist today, self-confidence, deep thinking. I have found myself imitating them a lot over years, like using their sentences, their phrases sometimes. And it's the ability to keep your friends, learn from them, help them, because when you help other people, you will be helped. Okay? That is something that is also sort of university, if you like. And then this last picture is about thinking. It's about developing judgment. And, based on this input, you talk to people, right? And you read from time to time. And you have to understand the trends. So where are we going? And here, the example that I have for you is my young sister. And my young sister, she has always been I hope she doesn't see the video. She has always been a happy girl, okay? And she loved going to the cinema. She loved movies and films. So one day, not long ago, like 15 years ago, we were having lunch and she said, I want to open my own video store. This is what she said. And we call it video shop in Spain. A sort of blockbuster, things like that, right? She was not in the world. It was pretty obvious that wasn't a good idea. When I include this picture, this is about being in the world. It's understanding a little bit the trends. Imagine you have your daughter goes or your boy goes and tell you, Dad, I want to be a driver. You want to be a driver. There are things that you have to understand what is your wave. Do you do surf? Do you like surfing? I've been learning over the last years how to do surfing. I like the analogy of surfing because it's not only about the technique of getting to the board and you understand it's not only that. It's about understanding the sea, the tides, choosing the right wave. I'm really bad at that, for instance. And this is crucial. I've learned that it's crucial. It's your wave. What is your wave? Because if you don't choose your wave, forget about the other things. And probably this is why there are so many successful students at school who are not successful in the real world, in the business. I see that every day. And every day. Actually, we have a meeting, a gathering now of all the schoolmates next month. So you could test that. And the most successful students at school, they are not the most successful people in the real world. You could be the best in class in, getting up in your board because you know how to do that, and the coordination, etc. You know nothing about the sea, about the waves. You are horrible. You have to understand your wave. What is your wave? What types of waves are good for you? And my sister didn't know that, for instance. Now, going back to the advice, okay? Waves. So what is your wave? And here I'm going to tell you something that, in my view, is very worrying, which is, one thing is understanding the trends, and the other thing is being obsessed about your passion and your ideal profession. I tell you that because, going back to Steve Jobs, the speech, which I will recommend you go through it because it's really good. There is one thing that Steve Jobs says that I don't buy, which I think is really harmful. It's really dangerous. He says, he's not the only one who says that, you have to find your passion and you have to dedicate yourself to your passion. Have you heard that before? From Bill Gates, etc. I do not buy on this. I think it's very dangerous. I mean, these super rich people from their privileged watchtower, from their standpoint, they say you have to dedicate yourself to your passion. They are not successful because they have found their passion. They are successful because they have incredible qualities, and including determination, ambition, and many others. But the truth is, most children, including my children and their friends, they think and they are obsessed with trying to find their passion these days. And it's interesting. The other day, this was February, like 3 months ago, I took part in the speed mentoring gathering in the city of Malaga. This was organized by the Fundación Princesa de Girona, who's around these days. And so I met, many children there on one-on-ones. And this is what I found. And I'm not exaggerating. This is what I found one after another. There was no exception. And I spent there like 3 hours. They were all, it was sad, they were all desperate because I have not found my passion. And, and there was a case that was even worse. She thought she had found her passion. Her passion was about helping people. So what she said was, I need your help because I want to get in contact with the social service at the government of Andalusia. Why the social service? Because they help people. I mean, of course they help people, but it's so narrow. Why are young people so obsessed with this? Because Steve Jobs and all these super successful people are making, a strong case out of finding your passion. Look, I'm 50 and I still don't know what I want to become when I grow up, honestly. I mean, we changed. I didn't like beer when I was 20. I didn't like cycling when I was 18. People evolve, and plus, you don't know. I mean, you don't know what a profession implies. And here I have an example for you. A person on my team, who two of you actually know well, she loved traveling, okay? Like my sister loved movies, she loved traveling, okay? You know what degree she took? Guess. Tourism. She went to university and she got the degree, tourism, until she found out that is boring, because you know what? You don't travel. Your clients travel. You get complaints, you negotiate prices, etc. It's not what you thought. I mean, these people at this age cannot fully understand what a profession means. Plus life diverge a lot. So I think the advice will be relax a bit, understand what you are good at, understand the trends, the waves, okay? And make a living. By the way, you can, if you like to, and you enjoy helping people, you can help people in my role, in your role. If you are a salesperson, you can help people. Plus, if you are good at that, you make the money. You have the freedom to do in your free time what you want. Like, this is my eldest. She loves dogs. She wants to become a veterinarian. I'm not sure my eldest, Alejandra, she understands what it means. I mean, if she's good at something, IT for instance, she could have a fantastic professional life, super fulfilled, and she could live with 100 dogs. And you know what this person on my team, the one who studied tourism, you know what she does? She travels a lot. Every time there are 3 days, a long weekend, she goes to the other part of the world with the family. Only in the last year I've lost count of the places she has visited. And she's a great professional doing what she does. So I think the advice is be flexible. I would say relax about your passion and the profession, etc. I don't believe in this advice that we are getting from successful people. And necessarily, you don't have the age, the maturity to understand that. There are very few, very few. Plus, you don't understand professions, and you need to have the freedom to make your choices. And your choices are, I will do what I like during my life, and I may change my mind. And so instead, get to know yourself, okay? Understand the waves. So in summary, stay in the education system as much as you can. As much as you can. The next turn, 1 more minute. And or develop the skills and the contacts that you will need for the future. Practice those skills that will never be done by machines. And relax about these, trends around finding your passion when you are 18 and deciding what you want to become when you are 20. And there are very few people and teenagers who could really, see that. And instead, talk to people, understand the world, be in the world, understand the waves, the trends, and try to find out what you are good at. That's all. I mean, I think that I do envy young people. I think they're going to have a great life, much greater than the one we had. I think the life that is coming is really good. They're going to be freed up from repetitive tasks, totally freed up. They will have a lot of time to do what they want, to socialize, to be creative. It's an economy run on ideas. But if they want to make the most of it, I do believe, and this is a personal thought, that they should take some part of this piece of advice. If not all, I think parts of it. That's all. Thank you. So I guess there is a Q&A.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for not only thought-provoking but motivating presentation. When I was doing my first degrees, I was still confused. I wanted to live here and there until I went to my MBA, a multidisciplinary degree, and that's where I found where my interests are. Having said that, to come back, what you have actually told us are supposed to be the future jobs are what is supposed to happen now. The basic elements of humanity, the basic principles of caring, sharing, etc. You have not gone into telling us if you want to be successful in the future, you must aim to become an IT specialist in a particular field, etc., etc. And I'm grateful for that, because we are losing humanity, focusing more on what we can gain financially. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, I just want to thank you too for everything you've said, and especially of also what you've said too, this focusing on humanity. It's very important. And I want to thank you this point of view about passion, because I've never, you've made me think about it, and it's very important, because we can bring this passion to everything we do. It's not necessary to go for this passion. And I really like this point of view, and I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. This is so far the nicest Q&A session I've ever had in my life. Thank you both. Thank you so much.
Another applause. Okay, very good.
Maybe to make it a bit less nice, I will add a critical note. Yes, of course.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. I also agree with my neighbor next to me, because I didn't expect to get this regarding the title. So I was very surprised. But I think as a young person myself, I have to add this one critical note, especially on the last note that you made, that young people will face a very good life. And as a young person myself, I really hope so. And especially in this amazing conference where we have tried to be super hopeful about all the things that we can do together. So I do have still a little bit hope. But we have also to be realistic that this young generation has to do with all the complex problems that we have talked about in this conference as well. And that's just one part of the complex world that we all have to do with, of all the problems that have been caused by the generations before us. So I really hope that in combination with, of course, this humane perspective that you gave us, that we will try to manage to have a good life. But I think it's good to also be realistic that we as young generation are also responsible, or are responsible for solving hopefully many of these problems, but we will also face them as well. So I just want to add that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I cannot agree more. But sometimes to have a full life, you need to have a purpose, a mission. So it's like me. I mean, if I enjoy the weekends because I have to struggle during the week a little bit. So I think for the new generation to have this mission, which is so meaningful, so important, and I guess you are mostly referring to the climate change, and I think that is you have a great mission. I mean, the life is really rich when you sense responsibility. It's not only, but I do think that you have a very promising life ahead, and much better than the one that previous generation had. And plus, when you see society now, I mean, look, in only 20 years, I remember lots of jokes about women, LGBTI communities, and the social responsibility agenda was not there in most of the multinationals. And most of the people we interviewed 20 years ago, the first question they asked was how big the company is. And this is true. Now they don't ask that. What they ask is, what is your commitment to sustainability? This is what young people are asking us. They want to engage with companies that are really committed to this, instead of, how big is the company? Number 3 in Forbes. 66 countries. That is gone. I think there are lots of things that I consider super promising about the new generations. So congratulations. I wish I were 18, but suppose I will not be able to benefit from it.
Thank you very much for this speech. It was really not what we expect, I suppose. But what I appreciate is the word relax. I'm always surprised. I'm full professor working at the university, and I'm surprised with my student being so worried about success or about starting to work, just to leave education, starting to work, and so on. And I also think in order to be creative and to find solutions, like our younger colleague said, you have to relax. You have to enjoy in the life first, because through joy you find the way how life evolves, how plants grow, what we can do for our planet. We can learn from that experience. So I would support the word relax a little bit.
Thank you. I enjoy life. I agree. I remember there was research with children. When they were making fun, they were learning more, and this is how they changed the education system for children. Instead of sitting down in the class, they started doing things, and with adults it's very similar. When you have fun and you are enjoying and you are a happy person, you are a better professional. And
Thank you very much. I shouldn't be asking, but if I may. So these criteria or these conditions or these recommendations you put as exciting, this as a senior human resource expert perspective, are they going to be considered in the recruitment processes or as a whole? I mean, are they the kind of new thinking, or are they the kind of people that they're going to recruit in the future? So I just wanted to link with the kind of a labor market perspective. Thank you.
I think it has changed a lot, yes. And if you remember, the most difficult part of the recruitment process back in the 90s was the curricula phase. And you were just reading, the label, which is university, and the place the boy or the girl was living in, and those things, are gone. And it is more about meeting the person and understanding whether or not the person will fit, and whether or not the person has the abilities of the future, the skills of the future I was talking about. Now, you're scaring me when you say I was not expecting this speech, looking at I don't know, maybe maybe I'm in the wrong room or something. One more question, yes.
Okay, I will be short. For my younger colleague, I have to say that I am coming from Sarajevo, and I was a part of group of people that survived a siege, the longest siege, the war in Sarajevo. And we were without anything, no digital, no nothing. But we had ourselves and our brains, and we survived even through making jokes about us, It was one joke, it's black humor. It's saying that in Sarajevo, in that period, live only people, missed people. Some missed life, the other bullet, And that you have to have that type ability to survive, to reduce stress and to reduce this worriness about everything, and to relax a little bit. But when I'm saying relax, it's not forbidden about the problem and so on, but a little bit, to look, to stand and look behind and in front of. And thank you very much. I mean, I just would like to outline what you said. If we think about the future of work, we have to think what machine cannot do, what we only can do. So, thank you.
Thank you. What a testimony. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.